For the University of Winnipeg, it's the guy that's got to cover Gary Bullock. That's Ron Hutzel. Beginning to be touted the best defensive ball player in the conference. He's really tough on D. He doesn't score very much for them, but at the other end of the floor, he's the guy that runs the offense for Winnipeg and gets the ball inside. The inside game is going to be the goal that both Hutzel and Bullock have in the backcourt that are going to make a big difference tonight. For Manitoba, it's little Gary Bullock, the guy who brings the ball up the floor for them, has to run the offense. We talked about how important the inside people were. Bullock's the guy that's got to get them the basketball. That's really, really important. For the University of Winnipeg, it's the guy that's got to cover Gary Bullock. That's Ron Hutzel. Beginning to be touted the best defensive ball player in the conference. He's really tough on D. He doesn't score very much for them, but at the other end of the floor, he's the guy that runs the offense for Winnipeg and gets the ball inside. The inside game is going to be the goal that both Hutzel and Bullock have. The other goal that they've got is stopping each other from starting that inside game.
All right, we'll take a timeout, and when we come back, we'll meet the starters for both teams on CKND's Game of the Week. The semifinal game between Manitoba and Winnipeg. Scott, introduce our viewers to the starting lineups.
University of Manitoba Bisons will start Danny Snidel at center, a 6'8" graduate of Kelvin High School. He was the GPAC scoring champion this year. Then Johnny Taylor will play in a corner. He's 54% from the floor. Big Tommy King at 6'10" will play in the middle. And then, of course, we'll have Jim Kendall at 6'2" from Dakota, starting in the backcourt, a big shooter. And then Gary Bullock, the quarterback guard from Glenlawn. They say he's 5'10". He's a little more like 5'8". The Winnipeg Westmen have got to try to match up to that starting lineup. It's going to be a tough one, Scotty. As you've got yourself a look at that Westman bench right now with Bruce Enns, of course, Larry Sawchuk making those last discussions. There's Big Balai Degefe. He'll start in the middle at 6'8", third year from Calvin. Gary Sherman is in one corner. He's a rookie from Dakota, replaced Bob Magel. Kenny Opalko, the fifth-year veteran of Daniel Mack. This could be his swan song this weekend. Jimmy Grissom plays in a corner. He's 6'3", perhaps 6'4", a great shooter. And then the man that runs the offense, Ronnie Hutzel, his fourth year out of Westwood. Two real big starting lineups with the exception of Gary Bullock. It's going to be a great ball game.
Scott, one of the biggest crowds we've seen here in recent history at the East Gym. Noisy, too.
It's the biggest crowd, I think, in about 10 years. Remember back when Jack Lewis was coaching the Bisons, UBC games used to haul out 1,500, 1,600 people. But we've got a great crowd here. It's certainly the biggest one we've had all season, Scotty.
It's the Manitoba Bisons, the Winnipeg Westmen. They played 5 times this year. The Bisons winning 3 of those games. As we look at the referees for today's game, Bill Moore and Rod Pepper.
Two veteran officials, too, Scotty, and they always bring the best out for these games. Of course, we just watched Brandon knock off Lakehead 72-57. Rick Lambert, Wes Crimble did that ball game. One of the finest officiated games in a long time. And the winner of this ball game is going to play Brandon tonight, right here.
A pair of first-team GPAC All-Stars will jump it up. Manitoba Bison center Dan Snidel, Winnipeg center Balai Degefe, both 6'8".
An interesting jump setup. We've got Ronnie Hutzel way out in a wing as they tap into Ken Opalko. Jim Grissom was right down underneath the Bison hoop as he brought Jimmy Kentle back.
Degefe rejected by Snidel on his first shot. Bullock, he'll run the offense. Taylor, watch his knee. That'll be a key for the Bisons, how long he can hold up. Kentle working inside. Doesn't get the roll. It'll go out of bounds to the Westmen.
Okay, twice. Once at both ends. We had Danny Snidel for the Manitoba Bisons and Balai Degefe with a little bit of intimidation of their own. That's going to be very key as the ball game goes on, Scotty.
All right, quickly, let's set the matchups for you. Snidel and Degefe, Taylor and Opalko. We got a foul away from the ball. Number 12, Gary Bullock, his first.
Bullock has never had foul trouble in any of the ball games this season. I would doubt that he'll have it tonight.
All right, so it's the freshman Sherman against the sophomore King. There's Taylor working against Opalko. Inside to Degefe working against Snidel. A jumper comes up short, and Snidel goes to the board.
Another good defensive job there by Danny Snidel. He's keeping Balai away from the inside spot. A real good job playing defense with his feet and not with his hands.
Scoreless ties. We're just on the first minute of this semifinal game. On the turnover, inside pass for de Gefe. He can't find the handle, and they turn it over to Manitoba.
Belai's got to turn it on. He's coming on a little bit slow. He's a key for them.
Stolen by Hutzel. Trying to outrace Bullock. First 2 points of the game.
2 super plays in a row by Ronnie Hutzel. We've already mentioned that he's the key. He's the guy that can stop Bullock, and he's the guy with the assignment right now as both teams are in a solid man-to-man.
And that's half Hutzel's scoring average for the year. He only averaged 4 points a game. His big contribution comes on defense. King working inside with the hook. Comes up short. Grissom goes out, gets it back to de Gefe. Westman would like to set a fast tempo. Bruce Ann said that before the game.
They want to run against Manitoba. Manitoba, of course, relies on their height and their inside game.
Hutzel posted up Bullock in there. That's got to be a mismatch, something that the Westmen have got to look to exploit.
We've mentioned right from the top, Scotty, that Ron Hutzel isn't expected to score. But now we're into that situation where he can post on little Gary Bullock. Could be a long night for Gary.
Bullock guns from outside. Winnipeg leading at 4-2. Just 3 minutes into this semifinal game. Hutzel turns it over. Last touched by a Manitoba player. No, by a Westman player.
Yeah, it was Jim Grissom who couldn't get the handle down underneath.
Bisons could tie it this trip down the floor. Kendall, you have to watch him. He'll put it up from anywhere. He's been hot lately. Taylor working on that bad knee. King will put it up. Doesn't get the roll, and it's Opalka with the rebound.
We're establishing territory right now, and of course, Ken Opalka, at only 6'4", but a wide 6'4", is establishing that defensive board situation.
Opalka with the arching shot. King pulls down the rebound, and we got a foul after the shot.
Looks like it'll be on Gary Sherman. It is on Gary Sherman. He was a little out of position. Fell down essentially on Tommy King. But it's been Tom King and Dan Snidel underneath at the Bison end. It's been Belai, de Gefe, and Ken Opalka underneath at the Winnipeg end.
We've got the top 3 scorers in GPAC in this game, but none of them have hit the score sheet yet. Snidel led the league with 22.4. Then it was Opalka and de Gefe for the Westmen. Kendall's open for 2. Bisons get it back. Bisons have come out cold so far shooting. Bullock trying to shake free. There's Taylor.
That knee doesn't look terribly sore to me. Johnny Taylor was able to set up very, very nicely for that 15-footer.
We're tied at 4s. Hutzel inside to the freshman Sherman. He'll be working against the sophomore King. Alley-oop pass inside for de Gefe, trying to muscle against Snidel. Comes up short. No foul called. It'll go out of bounds to the Westmen.
Belai's very, very upset. He thought that a foul should have been called under there on Tommy King. However, it obviously wasn't. There have been very few fouls called in the ball game as Ron Hutzel checks out and Lance Rozalowicz, the freshman out of St. John's, checks in.
What does this do to the matchup? Obviously, Rozalowicz a lot better offensive player than Hutzel is.
I think they're going to continue to try to post, perhaps, but Lance is a good corner shooter, a good wing shooter, and that may make a difference. Not the same defensive ball player, and I wonder what Bruce's thinking is right here.
Sherman's bucket puts the Westmen up by 2. Snidel inside, dishes off to King.
Tommy was traveling, and the Winnipeg bench has been on Tommy King since the start of the ball game, and I think that both referees have taken notice.
Rozalowicz, the freshman, one of the most promising players in this league.
Of course, Brandon's got 6 freshmen that are very promising ball players.
Kendall kicks it away. Rozalowicz gets to it first. Bullock takes it feed to Kendall. He'll have an easy 2.
We got a tie ball game at 6, Scotty. Good defense there by Jimmy Kendall and Gary Bullock.
Kendall's first bucket of the night. Inside pass for Grissom. He can't handle it. We've got a foul, though. Danny Snidel picks up his first, it looks like.
Yeah, it's going to be Snidel, you're right, Scotty. As you look at the big guy, Dan Snidel was the leading scorer in the conference, 22.4 points per game. He was also the 3rd leading offensive rebounder, averaging 3 of them a game. He's had a pretty great season, first team GPAC All-Star.
Inside pass for Sherman, can't find the handle. Dishes it back out for Grissom, he hits it.
It's tough when you can't score at 3 feet, but you can at 25.
Jim Grissom's first 2 points as the Westmen lead at 8-6 with 5 minutes gone in this game.
Both teams have stuck primarily to man-to-man, Scott.
Kenny Kylick will check in for the Bisons. Next stoppage of play. Taylor's open again, comes up short. Ball is in his rebound, doesn't get the roll. Tommy King with the rebound. He can't get it to fall. Snidel can't get it to foul. No fouls being called. Snidel finally puts it in.
What a super effort on the offensive boards by the Bisons. King and Snidel and Taylor all got rebounds in that series.
But they're not calling anything.
They haven't called anything at either end. From a fan standpoint, it's great, because it's not going to take long to play the game. All of these college kids will be in the pub by 10:30. From a player's point of view, it can get very, very frustrating under there.
We thought that John Taylor might come out, but he's staying in, and Tom King needs a word with Coach Don Hunter.
Yeah, and we talked about Kenny Kylick at the top. I don't think it hurts them terribly to have Ken in the ballgame.
We're tied at 8. Van Kuysel's checked in. He dishes inside to DeGeppe. Slams it home.
DeGeppe got that step on Danny Snidel, and Don Hunter came right up off the bench. He can't allow DeGeppe inside like that.
Belai's first 2 points. Snidel comes right back. It's Opalko with the board. Outlet pass Van Kuysel. Westman trying to run. Grissom in the corner.
Very, very nicely played. They got Clyde Van Kuysel, the left-hander, all by himself on a wing. He brought the ball up the floor, and you saw him hit Jimmy Grissom, one of the top scorers on this Westman Ball Club, a second-team all-conference all-star, and we've got a timeout called by the Bisons.
The 12-8 lead for the Westmen. Tomorrow night, it's the finals. Brandon Bobcats against either these Westmen or the Bisons.
Great crowd as you have a look at them here at the East Gym at the University of Manitoba. You're right, Scotty, that tonight here at the East Gym, it's going to be Brandon against one of these two teams. And right now, Winnipeg has got the upper hand because they're starting to run pretty well. But here's the slam by DeGeppe, and I think this is the kind of thing that brings the team really up onto their feet. Of course, Belai got that step. It wasn't on Snidel, as we originally said. As you notice there, it was on Kenny Kylick. DeGeppe had that two-step essential advantage. Slammed it, and Winnipeg came back and ran 2 more. So we've got a 12-point lead right now, or a 4-point lead, 12-8 right now for the University of Winnipeg, a team that's playing just superbly. Certainly better than they have in all 5 other meetings this year. And the reason Donnie Hunter called that timeout was to settle down the team that's had the upper hand this season.
These two teams contrasting in the way they play, because Winnipeg is so emotional, and Hunter stresses controlled offense and controlled emotions with his players.
It's control and intelligence against feisty and fiery.
Snidel gets DeGeppe in the air, follows his first shot, and sinks the second one. Danny's got 4 points, leading scorer in GPAC this year.
That's the second personal on Gary Bullock, and he's not very happy. You hear the term no call every now and again, and that would have made for a better no call. It's the kind of call that you ignore and start to protect the shooter a little bit underneath, and the shooter hasn't been protected.
3 team fouls on the Bisons, just 1 on the Westmen so far. After their 7th, they'll go into the bonus. Hutzel posting up inside on Gary Bullock again.
That's twice, Scotty. They're getting Hutzel posting on the very tiny Gary Bullock, and Hutzel's been able to push him out of the way.
Hutzel's got 6 already, 2 points over his season average. Taylor on the turnaround. Won't go. DeGeppe to the board, slaps it back out to Kendall.
Okay, Scott, we had the same situation there. The big mismatch at the other end is John Taylor and Ken Opalko. Taylor was able to post up in that situation, and Bullock hits his second field goal.
Bullock's got 4 now. Nice fake to get past Hutzel. Westman lead by 2. They can make it 4 this time down the court. Van Kuysel. Opalko working against Kylick. DeGeppe outside. Opalko looking for the shot over Kylick.
Just a super individual effort. Ken Kylick did all he possibly could on defense.
Opalko's first 2 points. For some players, a difficult shot. For Kenny Opalko, pretty routine.
It's what he's done for 5 years, Scott.
Snidel. Ball slapped away by Van Kuysel. No call from the referee. Don Hunter's up off the bench again.
Both Don Hunter and Dave Gus were a little upset with that one.
Grissom. He's hot.
Jim Grissom shoots an opposite spin jump shot. Instead of the ball turning over, it turned sideways, and the ball that time caught the rim and was able to go in off the board.
6-point lead for the Westmen. Taylor hasn't shown much mobility. Kendall cold. Hutzel, pass to Grissom. Off glass, Jimmy's hot. Will it stay in? Yes!
All right. Jim Grissom got the roll again. That's twice in a row. And now we've got an 8-point lead for the Westmen. And who would have expected it?
That's what you call your basic toilet bowl shot. It kind of flushes and rolls around the rim and finally falls. Grissom picks up a personal.
It was a good break for Jimmy Grissom picking the foul up because Kendall had the step on him. And Roger St. Fort's going to replace Jimmy Kendall, who's been cold. And there's a look at that Manitoba bench. David Gus and Don Hunter.
Kurt Brenner will check in now for Hutzel.
Interesting substitution. Kurt Brenner has not played much in the last few weeks.
Replacing a fourth-year man.
Well, it could have been Rozalowicz, who's also a freshman, who's been getting regular floor time.
Taylor.
You're right, John Taylor hasn't been terribly mobile, but when he's been allowed to set up, he can still make that shot.
I don't understand why the Westmen aren't pressuring him, knowing that he doesn't have that mobility. They've got to stop his shooting. Opalko trying to get inside on Taylor. Ball slapped away. They're not calling anything underneath there. Opalko's looking for the foul. Enns is looking for the foul. No whistle.
I was going to say, Scotty, I think they respect John Taylor so much, they're not absolutely sure that his knee is a problem.
It's a 6-point lead for the Westmen. Roger St. Fort cuts it to 4, 20-16. His first shot goes down. Less than 11 minutes left in this first half. Brenner outside to DeGefe. He's set up high. Rotates down underneath now. Hutzel working inside. We got a foul.
It's a hold on Roger St. Fort, but it's interesting to note how both Kurt Brenner, as you look at John Taylor, both Kurt Brenner and Ron Hutzel are trying to get themselves into a situation where they're being covered by Gary Bullock. Dan Sneidel on the end of the bench. You look at Johnny Taylor. Clyde Van Keisel comes out for the Westmen, is replaced by Gary Sherman, and Wayne Harder, another freshman, comes in, and he replaces Belay.
For a couple of veteran clubs, they're making a lot of substitutions with freshmen early. Surprised by that?
Not by the Westmen, because, of course, the Westmen generally this year, with the exception of Clyde Van Keisel, have gone almost primarily with Wayne Harder and Lance Rozalowicz.
Inside for Harder. He can't find the handle, but it goes off a Manitoba player, and Westman will retain control.
That's a tough break for the big freshman. He's the kind of guy that really needs his confidence worked on, and if he could have made a bucket early, might contribute a little bit to the ball club.
Hutzel looking for the open man on the inbounds play. Can't get anything set up. Westman leading at 20-16. Opalko, inside pass for Hutzel.
Now we've got Hutzel posting up even on Roger St. Fort. Now St. Fort gives up a couple of inches to Hutzel, but he's such a great jumper. And I'm kind of impressed with the kind of feisty play underneath of these Westman guards as we look at Rod Pepler.
And Kenny Kylick picks up a personal.
That was a dumb foul.
16 foul on the Bisons. One more and they're into the bonus. Very early in the first half. Still 10 minutes and 35 seconds left to go.
Right now, the Westmen have the 4 freshmen in. The little singing groups in there. They've got Wayne Harder, Gary Sherman, Lance Rozalowicz, and Kurt Brenner. 4 freshmen.
Got a foul on freshman Gary Sherman. Pushing off. And it will turn over to the Bisons. Sherman second.
Sorry, as you look at Rod Pepler handing the ball into Roger St. Fort, the Bison bench were right up as soon as that pushing foul was called on Gary Sherman.
Bison's trailing by 4, looking to cut that to 2 this time down. King. He can't get the roll. He's been pulled. Rozalowicz. Up court for Sherman. His cross-court pass tipped away by Taylor. King goes to the floor to save it, and it's Bullock with control. Bodies all over the floor. Gary Sherman's down and hurt. He hit the floor hard.
Gary Sherman's really been shaken up. And they're looking at that left ankle, I believe, or knee.
They're looking at the ankle there. But one player we mentioned who was playing hurt is John Taylor, and we talked before the game to John about that.
I didn't really hurt it any specific way. I just started bothering me about a month ago, and got progressively worse. It gives out once in a while, but I stayed off it pretty well this week, and just practiced a little bit, and it feels a lot better, and I'll be able to go hard tonight.
So we're looking at Gary Sherman right now, and it's the ankle they are looking at, Scotty, not the knee. We were a little concerned about the knees of Gary Sherman because, of course, he had the right knee operated on only about 8 weeks ago, was able to start getting back into action. And he's being carried off, and it is an ankle. And that is definitely going to hurt Winnipeg because now Wayne Harder is the only big guy they can substitute in.
A freshman for another freshman. Tommy King getting more instructions from the coach.
Jim Grissom checks in for Kurt Brenner, and now Clyde Van Kuysel's also going to check in for Wayne Harder. So Bruce decided not to stay with that rookie lineup very long. He's got the veterans back in the ballgame.
Bullock working against Brzalowicz. Kennel's back in the ballgame for the Bisons. Stakailik top of the key. Inside for Taylor, working against Opalko. The drive is cut off. Johnny with the jumper. Comes up short again, and it's Brzalowicz
Two straight defensive rebounds by Lance Brzalowicz.
We got a violation. The Westmen turn it over. Sneidel will check in for the Bisons. John Taylor will take a rest. 20-16, the Westmen lead it. King on Opalko. Over to Bullock. Gary can't hit it, and it's the Gefe to the boards. Leading rebounder for the Westmen. Bly 6'8", and he could really sky.
He's got to get position, though, and he hasn't been until that rebound.
DeGefe comes up short with the jumper. King goes to the boards, loses it in a scramble. Opalko.
Great hustle by Ken Opalko. And he didn't lose his balance. It's like being a stand-up goaltender. He stayed with good balance all the way and was able to make the bucket.
Sneidel against DeGefe with the left-handed hook. Doesn't get the bounce. We got a foul. Sneidel picked up the personal going after the rebound.
And Winnipeg is in the bonus. So DeGefe is going to get to shoot 1-1. And this becomes kind of hairy for Winnipeg against Lakehead last week. Just to set a bit of a stage for you. Winnipeg needed to beat Lakehead by 6 points, and they only were ahead win by 3. They were tied most of the way, and the reason they were tied most of the way was because they were missing the front ends of one and a bonus. I am surprised it's Ken Opalko at the free throw line and not Bly DeGefe. And of course, as you look at the stat sheet, Opalko was the leading free throw shooter in the conference at 86.2. DeGefe only a 75% free throw shooter. I really thought the Sneidel's foul was on DeGefe.
Westman's lead now extended to 8. 24-16. Kendall. He hasn't been contributing much. Only 2 points. Inside for Sneidel. Rejected by DeGefe.
That's a goaltend, and it wasn't caught. That was a goaltend. The ball went off the backboard first, was blocked off the backboard. It was a goaltend. There's no question about it. Neither referee caught it, so we're going to have a jump ball here.
Don Hunter absolutely livid.
We're going to have a second look at it right now. But I don't think that there was any question. As you see, Kendall dumps the ball inside to Dan Sneidel. Now Sneidel ends up beating DeGefe. There's Taylor's pass into Sneidel. The ball is off the board, and then it's tapped away. That's got to be a goaltend.
This has really been scrappy basketball. The referees have not been calling very much. It's been very physical.
And now you're right, it's getting physical, and the battle is really heavy underneath as Ken Opalko's going to pick one up.
That's just Kenny's first personal, and only the Westmen's fourth. They're still 3 away from getting into the bonus situation. Bison's working with a fresh 30 in the shot clock.
Okay, the Westmen's sitting in this zone, Scott. It's very interesting. Manitoba wants to go inside so much.
DeGefe rejecting everything. Sneidl throws up. Incredible.
What an absolutely incredible battle underneath between DeGefe and Sneidl. Just incredible.
The coaches are up and yelling. They don't like what's transpiring out in the court. 6-point lead for the Westmen. Inside again for Hutzel against Bullock. No contest.
He's posting the heck out of poor little Gary Bullock. He's using that 6'2 frame inside.
They got to get out of that matchup.
I think they've got to go into a zone with their size, Scott.
Hutzel's got 8 so far. Bison coach is really upset. They want a timeout fast because they're not getting the inside shots they wanted.
They've got to get the ball inside to Sneidl.
Instead, they're putting up outside shots. They've got the height advantage inside, but they're not using it. Opalko doesn't get the roll. DeGefe to the boards. Foul away from the plate. Be a 2-shot foul. Who's it on, though?
It looks like Danny Sneidl.
Very
Timeout
quickly,
is
he's
called
got
by
3.
Manitoba, and Dave Gus is very, very upset with Brock Pepler. What a wild one, Scotty.
Already, Danny Sneidl's picked up 3 personals, and we've still got 7 minutes and 25 seconds left in this first half.
In the opening half of the previous game, Brandon and Lakehead jumped ahead 22 to 6 and looked like they were going to run away with it. And of course, Brandon, with their poise and their intelligence, came back in the ballgame. As we're going to have a look at Belay DeGefe underneath, blocking this Sneidl shot again. Jimmy Kent will take it down the corner, dump it back out to Johnny Taylor. Taylor will get it inside to Sneidl, who's got position on DeGefe. The ball goes off the backboard. It's tapped away, and no goaltending is called, and both coaches came up off the bench as you look at Danny Sneidl and the Manitoba coaching staff, and now you look at Bruce Enns, whose Westmen are playing an inspired ball game. So we'll come back into play, and Belay DeGefe is going to go to the free throw line for the Westmen. He'll get 2 shots on the shooting foul to Danny Sneidl.
8-point lead right now for the Westmen. They could put it into double digits right here.
.75% free throw shooter, as we mentioned previously, Scotty. The 8th best in the conference. He's very, very smooth. He's become such a much better shooter over the last couple of seasons.
DeGefe in his 3rd year promises to be spectacular as a senior. Belay's got 3 on the night. Westman leading by 9. Scott Craig will check in for the Bisons. Next timeout. Hutzel rejected Taylor. 6'2", stuffing 6'7". Taylor trying to post up inside. Sneidl top of the key.
Can't give a 15-foot shot to Dan Sneidl unaided.
Sneidl only 3 for 8. His percentage from the field on the season much better, somewhere around 56%.
Nice defensive job by Bullock to come in and make that steal.
Westman turn it over, and the Bisons could cut their lead to 5 right here. Bullock running the offense. St. Fort. Hutzel with the steal. He's played defense all night. Van Keisel on the break. Again, St. Fort. Good defense by Roger, but he picks up a personal.
Super defensive job at both ends. One to Roger St. Fort, and at the other end by Ronnie Hutzel.
Did they call the personal on that?
No, they did not. They just called the ball out of bounds. A great defensive effort by Roger St. Fort. I don't think that anyone has had a better defensive ball game than that man right there, Ronnie Hutzel. What a great steal. The pass to Clyde Van Keisel, and the ball stolen out of bounds. And of course, the Westmen coming right back to score that 2 points to make it 29-20 now, Scotty.
Sneidl, the hook won't go for him, and DeGefe tears it down. Westman leading by 9. 6 minutes left in this first half. DeGefe's open underneath. Muscles up against Sneidl, too much on it.
DeGefe didn't have balance when he took the alley-oop pass. That was the problem there.
Bison's trailing by 9. Scott Craig, a good outside shooter. Too much on it. Grissom with the boards. Opalko trying to get it inside to DeGefe. Cross court, Van Keisel. He's open. Comes up well short. Johnny Taylor will take it and slow it down. Don Hunter giving instructions to his players as they head down court, trailing by 9. 29-20 the score. Hunter wanted his players to get it inside. Kicked off the foot of Scott Craig and out of bounds. Bison's turn it over.
It's been a great effort by the Westmen on defense throughout this first half, and that's really made the difference. We mentioned, of course, Ron Hutzel, but so have a number of other players played superbly. Belai DeGefe, Kenny Opalko, and Jim Grissom.
Tommy King just checked in for the Bisons. He hasn't scored a point yet, and he's got to contribute a lot more. And we're going to have another look at King at halftime and a special up-close feature. But certainly he's got to get on the scoreboard if the Bisons are going to be successful.
And Scotty, the Westmen have called timeout. I'm looking forward to that feature that you did last week with Tommy King. A real nice young man, and I think the kind of guy that's going to really contribute to this league for many years to come.
Many people who know basketball say that 2 or 3 years from now, it's going to be Tom King as one of the key players on the '84 Olympic team that goes to the games in L.A.
I think so. He's very big part of the program. It's interesting that there are 6 or 8 players out of Manitoba that are heavy-duty members of Jack Donahue's national team program. But Lance Rozalowicz, Tommy King, of course, as you mentioned, Gary Sherman is being looked at. Belai DeGefe certainly is being looked at. A lot of players with a lot of potential, and Jude Kelly, who we just saw before, is part of that program as well. They've got about 40 or 50 players identified, and we'll see the best 12 in Los Angeles. But I think that the future is very bright for Canadian basketball internationally. As you look at Scotty Craig, a fellow who hasn't had much more time either in the last few weeks, but in a game like this, everybody's got to contribute. And there's Big Dan Sneidl with 3 personal fouls.
The GPAC scoring leader. He's got to stay in the game for the Bisons to have a chance. DeGefe, soft touch off glass.
And the Westmen know it too, because with 3 fouls on Sneidl, they're starting to post DeGefe against him. It's going to be tough for Dan.
They're trying to protect Sneidl in the zone. We'll look at that next time they come down the floor on defense. Taylor looking for the outside shot, a little far to his range. Craig in the corner. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Don Hunter irate because his team not getting the good shots. They'll get a fresh 30 in the shot clock here, though. Stolen by Grissom.
What a defensive effort this half by Winnipeg. An incredible defensive effort. And Enns has got that zone working superbly.
Gary Bullock will check in for the Bisons next time out. Opalko with the spinning hook.
I have never seen Winnipeg play this well on both ends of the floor.
They're hot and the Bisons are cold. They've got a 13-point lead now, 33-20, with just 3.5 minutes left in the first half. Kentel leading inside.
Well, that makes up for that non-goaltending because Jimmy Kentel got away with a little walk there.
Rozalowicz, the freshman, working against Kentel. For DeGefe, inside pass, stolen by Taylor.
Bad pass by DeGefe, but a nice defensive job by Sneidl as well.
Kentel fires up from long range. Guns it. Jimmy's got 6 on the night. Bison's back to within 9. The lead was at 13 at one time. Opalko with the hook. Offensive foul, count the basket.
Opalko wanting so much to get Sneidl that 4th foul. It was just a great play by both players. We're gonna get to have another look at it. Ken Opalko takes the pass inside in the key. As you see, Hutzel make a couple of decisions. Finally, Opalko cuts to the middle against Sneidl. A good job by Danny Sneidl to keep position, and the foul was on Opalko.
Opalko's second, his team's 5th. They've still got 2 more before they're into foul trouble with the penalty situation. Kentel's open in the corner. Rozalowicz picked up the personal, though, and Jimmy will get to shoot a pair.
The foul's on Rozalowicz. He was lucky he wasn't called for a submarine. That was almost intentional. Jim Kentel, needless to say, is going to get 2 free throws. And Clyde Van Keyser will check in for Lance Rozalowicz. As you have a look at Jimmy Kentel. one of the many players in this ball game that went to Dakota Collegiate, played for Dale Bradshaw, who has probably put out more collegians than any other coach in this province.
And cut the Westman's lead to 10, 35-25 the score.
I was going to say that in this particular game, there's Jim Grissom, Jim Kentel, and John Taylor on the floor right now from Dakota. On Winnipeg's bench, there is Gary Sherman and Wayne Harder. So Bradshaw has certainly turned out ball players.
The Westmen on a 9-point lead. 2 minutes, 45 seconds left in the first half. Opalko inside, over Snidel, doesn't get the roll. Bullock finally tears it down. Oh, but it goes off of Gary and out of bounds. The Westmen will retain control.
The Westmen really got a break there because that was a bad forced shot by Kenny Opalko. It's not the kind of balance that he wanted to have before he took the shot.
Bullock complaining about the call to no avail. Hutzel gets it into Opalko. Can't handle it. Bullock with the steal, and Kenny picks up a personal.
Opalko's picked up his third personal foul, and another great job by Gary Bullock. The Bisons are in the bonus. They're going to get to take a couple of shots now, or at least one, with the clock stopped, and that'll make a difference with 2:25 to go in this half.
Kenny Opalko a little disgusted with himself that he reached in and took that foul.
The Bisons have hung in basically because of their cool. They've handled the situation. They got down 13. Now they've got a chance to cut it to 7, and it's just because they didn't panic.
Little Gary Bullock's got 4 points in the night. He could get the Bisons close before they go into halftime. Bullock averaging just 5.9 on the season. Misses the front end, and that's important. It's a 9-point lead for the Westmen, coming down to 2 minutes left in the half. Van Keisel looking inside. Van Keisel again trying to drive baseline, dishes it off to DeGefe on the turnaround. Belay hits it.
What a super effort by DeGefe, but a great pass by Clyde Van Keisel.
Belay's got 7. Opalko leads all scorers with 10. Kendall off a screen by Snidel. King gets the rebound. The Bisons will get a fresh 30 in the shot clock. Inside pass for Snidel goes awry.
Don Hunter very, very upset with that pass.
Van Keisel inside for DeGefe. Can't get the roll. Belay with the rebound. Count the basket. Belay will go to the line for 1.
And I think we got Snidel again. I'm not sure, but no, it's John Taylor. A real break for Manitoba. Dan Snidel still with 3. That puts Winnipeg up by 13, and now Belay's got a chance to make it 14.
Just Johnny's first foul. We got a minute and a half left in this first half. 39-26 the score.
Scotty, in all the ball games that Manitoba beat Winnipeg, the 3 ball games this year, and especially the 89-76 contest, it was because they got so far ahead in the first half. They really had put Winnipeg away by 15 or 16 points in the first half. Today, it's the other way around. Manitoba's really going to have to keep their poise and just come out bombing in the second half.
Manitoba has not shot well from the field, and they've not got the ball into their big guys. They've had a tough first half on offense. And the Westmen control the tip. They could increase their lead to 15 right at the bucket here.
Okay, Bisons have gone into the zone and done a good job with it because it's really hurt Winnipeg's posting underneath.
Trying to work it into Harder. Defended well by Taylor. Hutzel to DeGefe over Taylor. Comes up short, slap back outside to DeGefe, and they'll get a fresh 30 on the shot clock.
Great job by Van Keisel.
Bisons with those 3 big trees underneath, but they can't control the rebounds. They turn it over, though, and Snidel with the turnover.
Wayne Harder just hasn't really come prepared to play. He really hasn't been in this.
Bullock gets it inside for Snidel, but he's fouled by Wayne Harder. Danny will get a pair of foul shots.
Snidel posted DeGefe. DeGefe fronted. Snidel went by him, and Wayne Harder wasn't there to help him out. It's the old help pick system. Lookout block. And Dan Snidel will get 2 free throws.
As we've mentioned a couple times, Snidel led GPAC with 22.2 points per game, and so far Danny's only got 6.
That's made a big difference, and of course having 3 fouls against him hasn't really helped his performance at all.
He's had a number of shots blocked by DeGefe, who gets off the floor incredibly quick. It's a 12-point lead for Winnipeg. They've got 30 seconds on the shot clock and 36 seconds left in the half. They could almost keep Manitoba from getting another good shot. Grissom working against Kendall. Back outside for Hutzel, trying to set something up. Grissom working against Kendall. We got a foul away from the ball.
It's a hold against DeGefe, and we'll see who the foul's on. It's Johnny Taylor again.
The Bison simply can't believe the calls that are being made now as opposed to the stuff that had to get away earlier.
That's been the problem. And there you look at Johnny Taylor, but that's been the problem for the players, because at the opening of the ball game, the officials were letting them get away with just about everything. And now we're into a situation where they can't get away with anything at all. So it really hurts the tempo and certainly the way aggressively a player plays.
That basket put Bly into double figures. He's got 10 right now. Westman lead is 13.
Sorry, Scotty, we've mentioned he's become such a smooth shooter.
It's a 14-point lead for Winnipeg. 16 seconds left in the half. Manitoba will have time to set it up for one last shot. 10 seconds. 7, 6, inside for Bullock. We got a foul. No, turned it over on the travel.
Yeah, he traveled. He tried to go up against DeGefe and realized discretion was the better part of valor.
Needs a quick substitution here. He wants to get the shooter, Kenny Opalko, in with 4 seconds left to try to increase their lead to 16 points. They lead
Now
by 14.
They've got to get it up to the hoop.
Slapped away by Taylor. That'll run out the half.
It was either get it to Van Keisel for an 18 or 20-footer, or else throw it up near the hoop so DeGefe could maybe pull an alley-oop with it. It was to no avail, and it's 41-27 at halftime, Scotty.
All right, the Westmen lead by 14. Coming up, an in-depth look at one of Canada's future basketball stars, Manitoba's sophomore Tom King. All that, plus the first half stats and highlights on CKND's Game of the Week.
Back in early February, in a two-game series against Brandon, Manitoba's Tom King gave spectators a glimpse of his awesome potential. King hit on 57% of his shots for 42 points, including 2 clutch free throws in the last minute of overtime that ensured the Bisons of their first win over the conference-leading Bobcats in 12 games that spanned 3 seasons. In recognition, King was named CIAU Player of the Week, becoming the only athlete from the entire Great Plains Conference to be so honored this year. And what's even more remarkable, the 6-foot, 10-inch, 220-pound forward is only a sophomore.
Well, if Tommy really works and stays intense the whole time and works on his game and develops, he could be the most dominating big man offensively we've ever had here. He's got all the ingredients to be a super big man in terms of his shooting ability, his quickness, and everything else. The best big man we've ever had by far is Darryl Rumsey. I mean, no one can compare to Darryl in terms of offense, and especially super defense and an unbelievable rebounder. But Tommy can be the best offensive big man we've ever had and make up for his problems defensively by working hard. And he's done it. He's really improved over the year we've had him, that's for sure.
To put Hunter's comments into perspective, Manitoba has had 2 All-Canadian centers in the last decade, Darryl Rumsey and Cliff Bell. And the Bison's graduating center, perennial GPAC All-Star Dan Snidel, also recognizes King's potential.
I think Tom's going to end up out of the boards. Tom's going to be a postman. He's going to be one of the most effective postmen and best shooting postman in the league. I can't think of anybody who has more potential for not a outside, like not too far out, but you know, 15 feet, 18 feet maybe. And with his size, I mean, not only his height, but his actual weight inside, he's going to be so dominating. You know, Bly DeGefe, for example, is a lot, he can jump a lot higher, but he's going to have to go through Tommy to get the board.
King was the Bison's Rookie of the Year last season and has improved dramatically this year, but realizes there's still a great deal of room left for improvement.
6'10" in high school, there must have been nobody that was as tall as you, so I guess coming to college you have to get used to
Instead of standing and waiting for rebounds, is jumping and going after them.
Which I haven't got used to yet. I'm still standing a lot. And in high school, there was Ken Kalick and Mark Snidel and Jan Bujan, who were all about 6'6", 6'5". And so I came out to play against Dan, who's 6'8", and John, who's 6'7", and Jerry Abernathy, who's 6'11", and Belai, who's 6'8", and jumps very well. And so I had to get used to that.
So what do you think you have to do when you evaluate Tom King as a player to be to the point where you can achieve what you want to achieve in basketball?
I still have a lot of work to do. I see that every practice, every game, I have so much more work to do. I have to run. I'm not running as much as I should during the game. I'm still letting up a lot during the game. I'm not really into a lot of the games. I just stand around. I get into bad habits of just standing, which is very bad. I should try to run a lot more. And rebounding, which should be a big part of my game, which isn't right now.
King's most potent offensive weapon is the sky hook, a shot that he's been working on for a long time to perfect. Where did you develop, Taylor and I were talking about this during the game. We call it the no-look hook.
The no-look hook. Oh, the no-look hook. That was in high school, in grade 10. The coaches there at Grand Park, Miss Jerry Bowman, Jim Hamilton, we were just working one day, and I guess I just threw it up. And I just liked it. And I guess I saw it on TV from everybody watches Jabbar play, and I just said, well, it's not his hook, but I just thought, oh, I might as well try it. And that was about my only shot during high school. Refs used to get mad because that was the only shot they'd ever see me put up. Unless I missed, then I'd get it and do a little jump shot or something.
King has 3 years of college eligibility left. And while a national championship is tops on his list of priorities, his sights are firmly focused on the future and the '84 Olympic Games in Los Angeles.
Well, hopefully to make the national team. That's one of my biggest goals. And make that by my 4th year. Because right now I see they're losing quite a few players. And I know quite a few players who will be trying out. And I know I'm as good as them to make the team at a forward and center spot. Because by international, you're going to have to be 6'10" and at least weigh around 240. And I'm not up to that weight yet, and I'd have to play forward.
Center Dan Snidel, forward John Taylor, and guard Jim Kentel all graduate next season, meaning that King will be called upon to carry more of the load.
Yeah, I'll be getting a lot more minutes and have to watch myself not to get in foul trouble, because we will have guys coming off the bench, not as many as this year, and also with the loss of Jim Kentel, that the outside shooting won't be. Jim will be gone, and so that'll take away from my outside shooting. So I'm just going to have to run a lot more and try to be in a little bit better shape than I am this year. So I'll be in the game for almost all 40 minutes, I hope.
Being tall is definitely an advantage when you're on the basketball court. But some big men have felt uncomfortable in social life, but not King. He enjoys his height.
You still have now, is height a big problem, socially?
Just in the house, walking around the house, hitting my head in the door every once in a while, but that's late at night when I come in. I don't know where I am anyhow. Not really, no. Buying clothes is never a big problem because I have size 11.5 feet, so shoes aren't any big problem. Pants, I can buy anywhere. I'm just 36, and I'm a fat kid, so I can get it going anywhere. And shirts, no problem because I roll up the sleeves. Jackets, Mr. Big and Tall or George Richards, I can buy them there. And, well, girls, doesn't matter to me. As long as they talk to me, it's fine. It's no big problem to me. Really? Height is nice. I like height.
Because a lot of people, say, well, geez, I can't find a girl my size, or...
Oh, don't, no. I wouldn't want to find a girl my size. No. Not the Russian girl, 7'4", no thanks.
Taylor back at the East Gym, and not so surprising, Scott, that the Westmen lead, but it's by how much they lead? 41-27, a 14-point spread.
They've done it with defense, Scotty, and that's been really the big thing all night long. Ronnie Hutzel has just had a super defensive ball game. Because of that, he scored 8 points in the game. But Belai DeGefe has also been a player. Jeff Blair of the Winnipeg Free Press said to me just a moment ago, DeGeffe's all-world right now. He was the leading vote getter for the All-Star team in the conference. Well, he's looking more and more like an All-Canadian every time.
Scoring points, blocking shots, he's done it all. Rebounding.
Well, he's just done a great job. He's also got 11 points and is the team's leading scorer. Kenny Opolko's got 10. Grissom and Hutzel each have 8, which brings up an interesting statistic amongst itself that Winnipeg is 62% from the field. They're 18 for 29. Manitoba is 13 for 39, only 33% in the first half.
Quickly then, the solution to the Bison's problems in the second half would seem to get the ball into their big men inside and use their advantage.
All right, that's what they've got to do, but it's how they go about doing it, okay? That's the important thing. We're going to have a look at a couple of replays now. The first one is Ronnie Hutzel. Just a great first half Hutzel's had, and he's posting up right here on poor little Gary Bullock. There he is posting underneath. Bullock at only 5'9", maybe 5'10", and Hutzel makes the shot. They were able to do that early in the game. Don Hunter made some changes and got Bullock and Hutzel separated, but still the fact remains that the size has worked adversely for Manitoba because Winnipeg has used their guards to post up against Manitoba's smaller guards.
What other highlights did you want to look at from that first half that were indicative of how things went?
I want to look at a shot that Dan Sneidl took underneath against Belay de Gefe. Now, I called it a goaltending immediately on the play, and I still believe it is. You see Jimmy Kendall down in the corner. He dumps the ball out to John Taylor. It comes down underneath, and Sneidl does a great job posting. The ball goes off the backboard, and then it's tapped away by de Gefe. That, I would say, is immediately goaltending. However, the referee saw it differently.
All right, Scott. What about that? The problem with Sneidl not scoring, is he going to be intimidated at all by de Gefe because he's been rejected and clearly rejected maybe 3 or 4 times right now?
Okay, what they've got to do is start moving the ball a lot quicker. They haven't been moving the ball around the perimeter. Winnipeg was able to go into a zone. Manitoba didn't move the ball at all against the zone. They stood around. They looked at the 30-second clock. They looked at their teammates. Nobody was moving away from the ball either, so they could get it inside. What's got to happen is the big guys have got to move without the ball, and the little guys with the ball have got to get it circulating around the zone a lot quicker. We're going to see one of the best shots in the first half, and that's Kenny Opolko's bucket underneath. There's the pass, posting up against Dan Sneidl. That big Ken Opolko spin hook shot. He's got it for 2. It's been indicative, and it's 41-27.
All right, we want you all to stick around. The next 20 minutes will decide who goes to the final on CKND's Game of the Week. Grissom bombs from long range, doesn't get the roll. And
that might be a sign. That might be a sign, Scotty. Grizz was hitting those shots in the first half. This time it doesn't go in on the other hoop.
14-point lead for the Westmen. Bison's coming out looking to cut that lead down in a hurry. Kendall off to Taylor. Can't get the shot off against Grissom, and they chucks it back out to Kendall. Driving baseline, cut off by Van Keisel, but fouled by Clyde.
Good job by Jimmy Kendall. He had the step. He took a bit of an off-balance shot, but it's the kind of thing that's worthwhile when you've also got the defensive player off balance. He had Clyde Van Keisel at his mercy, and he's going to get 2 free throws.
Van Keisel's first foul of the game. Of course, the Westman's first foul of the half.
Sorry, Scott, I'm very, very surprised that Jim Kendall, as a free throw shooter, with his excellent action just as a general shooter, was not in the top 10 in free throws in the conference. He was under 70% free throw shooting this year.
Jimmy's the first Bison in double digits. He's got 10. Bison's trailing by 12. Hutzel working against Bullock. The Westmen used that matchup to great advantage. Hutzel posting up down underneath again against Bullock. They're trying to get the ball into him, but they can't. De Gefe over Sneidl. Van Keisel to the boards. He was fouled.
What a super effort by Clyde Van Keisel underneath. The Sisler graduate got possession, but there's 2 situations in a row, 2 back-to-back, where both Belay de Gefe and Jim Grissom took their shots from their spots, and the ball went around the hoop and out.
Taylor's third personal. Bison's first of the half. 5-second, no traveling violation.
When you're handed the ball by the official on a spot, you've got to stay on that spot, and Ron Hutzel thought it was just like any other ball out of bounds, and they lose possession. So 2 turnovers important here in the early going.
Westman's biggest lead was 14. That was their advantage at the half. It's down to 12 right now. It could be 10. Kendall doesn't get the roll. We got a foul away from the basket. It'll go against Winnipeg.
It's on Van Keisel.
Quickly, Clyde picks up his second. He was the culprit on that play. Bison's working with a fresh 30 in the shot clock. Bullock against Hutzel. Taylor outside, inside for Sneidl over to Gefe.
That's the position that they've got to have. A great post-up job by Danny Sneidl. And he had bad position on DeGeppe, and they've cut it to 10. This game is not over.
Was that important for Snidle's confidence to know that he could go underneath?
Really important to back DeGeppe right up, and there's that post up again. Hutzel again allowed to post up on Gary Bullock, and it's 10 points in the ball game for Hutzel now.
Hutzel is the third Westman into double figures. DeGeffe's got 11, Opalko's got 10. On the season, he was only averaging 4 points. So he's taken the good advantage of that matchup. The no-look hook doesn't go for King. He's been stone cold. He doesn't have a single point.
All year for them. The old-fashioned no-look hook.
That shot's almost automatic for Tommy King. Right now, he doesn't have any points. He's been averaging around 13 or 14 during the season.
It's been a real tough evening for Tommy.
12-point lead for the Westmen. Inside again for... He can't get it. They turn it over.
Dave Gus upset because his team looked for a minute later like they weren't playing with much intensity, and we're going to see Kenny Kolick. Maybe he can come in and shake things up.
Bullock slaps it away from Hutzel, but Ron gets it back for Grissom against Kentel. Taylor to the board. Outlet pass goes to Kentel. He'll slow it down and set it up. Bisons could cut the lead to 10 this time down. Snidle.
He traveled
with the ball.
Tough
Nice
break,
move,
too.
but he
Real
lost
tough
it.
break.
Good move to get Belay up in the air, but then he...
They took that extra step. The Bison bench wasn't very happy about it, but I don't think there was much question that it was a travel.
Clyde Van Keisel working against Kolick, who just checked in. Tommy King sitting down. He has not contributed as he usually does to the Bison offense. Van Keisel inside for Hutzel. Dishes it back out to DeGeffe. Belay's high.
What they've done, Scotty, is pulled all of the big men of the Bisons outside as DeGeffe and Opalko and Van Keisel have pulled it right outside, and they're just leaving Hutzel alone, isolated underneath.
Snidle. DeGeffe got a hand on that ball. That threw Danny's shot off, and Kenny Kolick picks up a personal.
And now we're going to get Dwayne Brothers into the ballgame for Gary Bullock, and I feel very, very badly for Gary Bullock, who's just had a super year for the Bisons, but he's just getting killed underneath by Ron Hutzel, and it's a super coaching job by Bruce Enns as you look at Kenny Kolick.
Kenny picked up his second. The Bisons have got 2 this half, still 5 away from a bonus situation. Dwayne Brothers is checked in, and there's Snidle's 4th personal reaching in. A bad foul.
Uh-oh.
Quick timeout for Don Hunter. He needs to get Tommy King
Don
in.
Hunter's got to call timeout. His team came out storming. They cut it to 10. Looked like they were right back in it. A couple of good defensive plays by the Westmen, and now Winnipeg's got the ball. Snidle has 4 fouls, and Winnipeg still leads it by 14.
That was their lead at halftime, 14 points. Bison's got back to within 9, I believe, Scott, but it's now back at 14, and 16 minutes left in this game.
There's plenty of time, certainly, for the Bisons to get back into it, because they are a patient team that plays tough, and they've got big guys. But there are a couple of disadvantages right now. The biggest disadvantage is that Danny Snidle has 4 personal fouls. He's just come off a traveling call, and I'm sure he's affected by it after that super play he made earlier in the half. The other disadvantage they're at is that they can't use their point guard Gary Bullock because Ron Hutzel is just destroying him underneath. You look at John Taylor biting his nails, very, very concerned. Here comes this post play by Dan Snidle. A great job posting to Geffe, lays it in, and I thought that was really going to bring Danny up really into this ball game. That 4th personal foul's hurt him.
3 of the Manitoba players are seniors: Snidle, Kentel, and Taylor. And this will be, and Kenny Opalko's also a senior, all in their 5th year. And this could possibly be their 2nd last game. Only 1 more game left if they don't make it past the finals. Opalko's got 12 now. Brothers gets it inside for Taylor against Opalko. Gets Belay in the air.
And missed a bunny. He can't afford to miss those kind of shots.
DeGeffe's open underneath on the break, but can't handle the ball, turns it over. And Enns is up off the bench, and he's high.
He's really concerned about Belay, and now he calms down and calms Belay down. that was a situation to maybe put it away. If Belay can get into position to slam that one, it's 18 points, and for all intents and purposes, it's over.
The Westmen own their biggest lead of the game, 16. Bison's in danger of being blown out. Here's King inside looking for his first bucket. The jump hook refuses to go. Super follow-up by John Taylor.
Great job by John A. Taylor. He really came alive after missing that bunny.
Taylor's got 8. Bison's trail by 14. Hudsel's now working against Wayne Brothers, a better defensive player than Gary Bullock. Not quite as short either. DeGefe over top of King, up short, and Kendall's got the boards. Jimmy will take it the distance, rejected by DeGefe. Van Keisel with the rebound. The Westmen will run with it, 3-on-1 break. DeGefe on the wing. Belay,
what a super play by Clyde Van Keisel to get that board and start a super fast break, exactly the way it's textbooked. One man in the middle and two guys in the wing, Grissom and DeGefe. DeGefe gets an 8-foot shot, but boy, what a defensive play by Belay DeGefe.
As you mentioned, DeGefe playing like an all-Canadian right here. Taylor over pressure, fires up an air ball.
Okay, they've got a little poise problem. They got a little poise problem right now. Danny Snidle's got to come back into the ball game, use his 5 years experience right now despite 4 personals.
Opalko rolls inside. The jumper comes up short. We got a foul underneath the basket. It'll go against DeGefe. His first of the game. And only the Westman's third of the half.
Wayne Harder comes into the game, as does Lance Rozalowicz. As you look at Bruce Enns, who's just done a super job with this underdog Westman here. But Belay DeGefe really needs a rest right now. They're at a bit of a disadvantage with freshman Wayne Harder in the game.
The Westman's lead is still at 16. Kendall for Kylick. Trying to get it inside for Snidle. Kylick misses the shot, and it's Rozalowicz with the boards. Lance working against Bullock, off for Grissom now. 14 and a half minutes left in the game. Van Keisel out against King. Clyde taking it to the hoop, dishes off for Harder inside. Bullock saves it, what a break!
No, but a classic mistake. You're saving the ball as it's going out of bounds underneath the hoop. You don't knock it back in toward the hoop, you knock it outside. Bullock knocked it right back in toward the basket, and there was Jim Grissom for a bucket.
And never in your defensive end. Always try to save it when you're on offense, never under your own defensive board.
It doesn't hurt you to go out of bounds. You can still set up. It really hurts you like in that situation when Jim Grissom gets a layup. We're going to have another chance to look at this mistake, and Gary knows better. Bullock, the steal right there to Jim Grissom. It's 2 points. It's an 18-point lead. DeGeffe's back in the game, replacing Kenny Opalko.
Kylick from the corner. Kenny's been cold tonight, too. And Tommy King picks up a silly foul, reaching over on Wayne Harder. Tommy's real first stats. He hasn't scored any points. That's his first personal.
I wouldn't have believed anybody if they told me we're going to see this.
18-point lead for the Westmen. DeGefe goes to the floor trying to save it. It'll go out of bounds to the Bisons. Johnny Taylor will check back in. Kylick will sit down. Kylick doesn't have any points. King doesn't have any points. Two other big guys who have not contributed to offense at all tonight. Bullock setting it up.
Gary's become a great shooter, and he's got to do it. They're going to get Ronnie Hutzel back in the game as soon as they can.
Gary's got 6 points. Bison's trailing by 16 now. Rozalowicz working against Bullock. Tried to go back door to Grissom. There he is now, open for the shot. Grissom's got 10. The 4th Westman into double digits. That tells the story. 53-35.
I'm absolutely convinced it is not over.
You think with an 18-point lead, the Westmen aren't out of it, or the Bisons aren't out of it, in foul trouble as they are?
I don't believe they are. There's too many guys on that team that can score and can explode, Scotty. They really can explode. And we got a Winnipeg, or rather Manitoba, calling timeout. It's an 18-point Westman lead with 13 minutes to go. I'm still convinced they're not out of it. They've got 2 free throws now with the clock stopped to cut it to 16.
Is Don Hunter going to change strategy drastically here, or can he go with the stuff that got him to where they are right now, the inside stuff, Kendall hasn't been shooting lately?
I think he has to go with it. I think he's just got to keep challenging underneath. Keep going at DeGeffey, going at Opalko. He does have height advantage on some of these guys. As you're looking at Bruce Enns right now, talking to Jimmy Grissom and Lance Rozalowicz. We're going to have a look at Kenny Opalko underneath, giving up 5 inches to John Taylor, but he takes over right there and makes that bank shot that he's become famous for over the years.
Opalko, the leading scorer in Westman history, I believe close to being the leading rebounder.
He is the leading rebounder in the history of the Westman.
A phenomenal 5-year career for Kenny Opalko is winding up this weekend. Unless, of course, they should maybe perhaps go on to the finals and beat Brandon to advance the CIAUs. And they've been there the last 2 years, so they know what it's all about.
Brandon also has 10 freshmen in their ball club, although they've gotten superb play out of 6 of them. It's going to be an interesting ball game if it's Winnipeg and Brandon.
Snidel at the line. Danny's into double digits now. That was his 10th point. Only he and Jim Kendall are into double digits. Both have 10 points for the Bisons, as we mentioned. 4 Westmen with double figures.
Okay, Opalko checks back into the game for Wayne Harder.
Kenny O's got 12. Snidel hits them both. He's got 11. The Bison's trailing by 16 now. Bison's trapping all over the court now, trying to get some turnovers. Grissom's open on the wing over Snidel.
Winnipeg just ripped that press apart. The Bisons have got to be in that press right now. It's a good piece of strategy, but Winnipeg did a fine job to break it.
The 18-point lead has been reestablished. 13 minutes left in the game. King. Tommy still doesn't have a point.
That was an absolute brick. Tommy just, I don't know what's happened to him because he's too good a player to have this happen to him.
Hutzel. Bison's going into a zone. They got to protect Snidel, who's got 4 fouls, and Bullock's been victimized by that matchup with Hutzel. Kenny O gets the roll on the jump hook. He's got 14.
Opalko makes it 20. What a game for the Westmen. This is the best they've played, unquestionably, this year. This team is really peaking at the right time.
Bison's in real danger of being blown out here. Snidel looking for the shot against DeGeffey. Dishes off to Taylor. Johnny on the wing. Got it.
There's that firepower. They can come right back, as we mentioned. A guy like Johnny Taylor.
Taylor playing on a bad knee. Got 10 points. Not very mobile, but he's still got that deadly shot from outside. Opalko guns from long range. Gets his own rebound. They'll get a fresh 30 to work with. Cross court for Hutzel. He can't handle it. Gets control.
Manitoba's right back into man-to-man now. They've got to get that basketball.
Foul on Tommy King. DeGeffey will get to shoot a pair.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the call will be. I believe he'll get the shots. No, they said he was not shooting. Ron Hutzel over the year, 40% shooter from the floor. Tonight, he must be much better than 40% because most of his shots have come from right underneath the hoop.
The Bison's next foul will put the Westmen into the bonus situation. Grissom against Kendall. DeGeffey's been working well outside tonight. He's hit a few good outside
Good defensive job by Danny Snidel.
Snidel tipped it away. The Bison's control. 6'10", Tommy King taking it down the floor. Gives it off to Kendall. Almost an air ball by Jimmy. Just about missed the whole work. Bison's trailing by 18. 11 minutes left. Rozalowicz in and out. Rebound by Grissom. Tipped up by DeGeffey. Belay gets it back on the rebound. Off glass, won't go. Rozalowicz gets it back out.
What an unbelievable offensive board effort by Winnipeg. Just incredible.
My vote right now goes for Belay DeGeffey, player of the game. He's done it all.
Boy, and I like Ronnie Hutzel, too.
We got coincidental fouls here, I think. No, just on Ron Hutzel. I thought they called one on Gary Bullock, too.
Nope, they've called it on Ronnie Hutzel. Because they're trying to get that post-up situation again, but Winnipeg should have made some buckets on that great effort of all 5 of them on the offensive boards. They still have an 18-point lead, but I'm scared of the Bisons. They'd frighten me if I was playing against them.
Kendall misses. He's been cold lately. I'd like to see his shooting percentage. Usually about 53 or 54% from the field for Jimmy Kendall, but he has not had a good day.
So Winnipeg calls timeout. We have a look at the Winnipeg bench right there. An 18-point lead, 57-39. We've got 10:28 to go, Scotty, and it's been three things: Westman defense, Westman boards, and the inability of the Bisons, a great shooting team generally, to score tonight from the field. I've never seen a Bison team, certainly in the last 3 or 4 years, only have 39 points on the board with 10 minutes to play in the ballgame.
Fairly decent-sized crowd. Should be packed for the championship game.
Especially with Winnipeg in it. I think that's really important. Winnipeg fans have been great all year to the Westmen, and I'm sure they'll be jamming this place tomorrow. And of course, Brandon in the hockey playoffs this week, so a lot of their fans didn't come down, but Brandon in control of that series. Our last score we got, they were leading quite handily. We may see some Brandon fans in Winnipeg for the game tonight.
To give you an idea of the Bison's shooting trouble, Jimmy Kendall's only shooting 4 for 11. That's, of course, less than 40%. Tom King, Scott, shooting 0 for 10. A 50% shooter on the year.
I've said it, it's been a sad, difficult game for Tommy King. That one brick he threw up, he's a better player.
Grissom out in the wing for DeGefe. Opalko got Taylor in the air, tried to pass it inside. King loses control. Wild scramble for it. Crispy into the ball game for the Bisons, wearing number 50. Taylor against DeGefe. Trying to get it inside. Johnny comes up short, doesn't get the roll. Opalko to the board.
The ball just isn't going in for them.
Razalowicz on the break. Lance's first 2 points.
I don't think anybody expected this.
Kendall. About time that he had one. Jim's got 12. Bison's trailing by 18 still. Razalowicz trying to drive baseline, cut off.
We got a foul on Jim Grissom pushing off. There you look at Kenny Opalko, GPAC All-Star.
Jimmy Grissom, a second-team All-Star this year.
That's right.
Did a good job.
Manitoba's in the bonus right now. Trailing by 18, but this is the important part of the game now for them. Being in this bonus situation, they've got opportunities to score with the clock stopped. That's very, very important. So Kentel's going to get the free throws. And that's as good as gold in this league.
Jimmy misses the second. Bisons need some points and in a hurry. Trailing by 17, we're down to just over 9 minutes left. Pass inside for DeGefe, goes off the line.
That's the kind of stuff they need. They've got to keep getting turnovers. Doing a good job on defense now. I'll never give up on this ball club. I think they can come back, Scotty.
King for John Christie open. Over to DeGefe. John Christie with 2 points.
Now, Enns has got to start thinking timeouts. He's got to start thinking what he's going to use for timeouts. He's only up 15. They've blown 5 points now.
Foul away from the ball. Jim Kendall on the personal. His first of the game.
There's a bit of a battle over there between Kendall and Grissom.
Bullock will check in. St. Ford will sit down. Going to be matched up against Hutzel again. Ron's taken great advantage of that tonight, scoring 10 points, 6 over his seasonal average. He's held Bullock to 6. Grissom on the wing. Hauled down the boards by Opalko. Kenny's been doing it all, too. DeGefe against King. Belay can't hit it.
What a job by Opalko on the boards. What a super job.
Really hitting the boards hard. Hutzel inside. Foul on Gary Bullock. Bruce Ender. Don
And they count the bucket. And now it's 17 points, and Don Hunter is very upset. Gary Bullock picks up the foul. They counted the bucket. Ron at Donnie Hunter, and he's really concerned. Kenny Kylick's going to check into the ball game now for the Bisons.
The call there, Bullock obviously did not have position when he set up behind Hudson.
Exactly right. The offensive player is entitled to his position on the floor. Gary was a little bit close when it came to the position, and Tom King and Johnny Taylor check out. What a great ball game for Ron Hutzel. He's even scored some points tonight.
12 for Hutzel. Make it 13 now with that foul shot. DeGefe with the boards. Between Opalko and DeGefe, they've dominated both the offensive and the defensive boards in this game. Kenny's open inside pass for DeGefe. Slams it over Sneidl.
What an unbelievable play. What an absolutely unbelievable pass by Ken Opalko.
20-point lead for the Westmen. And a foul on Sneidl. That does it for Danny.
We got a push-off against Dan Sneidl, his 5th personal foul. And what a tough way to end a career. Kenny Opalko is going to get a rest. And there you look at Danny Sneidl, 5 years with the Manitoba Bisons.
Belai DeGefe has simply been incredible tonight.
I got 3 players in the game right now. I got Opalko, DeGefe, and Hutzel. Now, I think those 3 players have been absolutely splendid tonight. Everybody's done exactly the job they were supposed to do. Now they're up by 20, and they got a chance to make it 22.
7:56 left in this game. Looks like the Westmen will go on and advance to the GPAC finals against the defending league champions, the Brandon Bobcats.
Without Dan Sneidl in the ballgame, it really hurts the Bisons. The Bisons have one of the smallest lineups I've ever seen them have. Their only real big guy, Tommy King. Kenny Kylick at 6'6".
King is muscling for position against DeGefe. Kylick over Van Keisel.
Nice bucket by Kenny Kylick. He's good for it. They're throwing this press at them now.
Kylick's first basket of the night. Tom King still does not have a point. Don Hunter was looking for production out of both those players. He hasn't got it tonight. Grissom inside. Comes up short. Rebound. King.
Okay, it's 18. With some poise here, they can cut it to 16.
Christie. Bison bench up and yelling for a foul. No call by the referee. Bullock dives for it. Van Keisel now. Vidal slow it down. Offensive foul against number 20, Kurt Brenner. Brenner's first.
Okay, there's 7 minutes to go and 18 points. You look at Danny Sneidl and that subdued Manitoba bench. They play with poise and they play with intelligence. They can still get back into this thing. I'm absolutely convinced that they've certainly got the firepower to do it. But if Winnipeg continues to have the defense that they've had all night long, it could even get worse.
One more foul by the Westmen. The Bisons will be into the bonus situation. Taylor trying to drive against DeGefe. Inside pass for Kylick. He was hacked by Harder.
It was Kurt Brenner. It was a bad foul by Brenner, although it was an awfully nice pass, and we're going to have a bonus situation for Kylick. As you look at Lance Rozalowicz out of St. John's, and at the free throw line, Kenny Kylick from Daniel Mack.
What's the call? They want to jump it. Who knocked it out? Westman will take over. Full court pressure now by the Bisons. They need a turnover quick. They trail by 18, 64-46 the score. Inside pass for DeGefe. Belai fires it up. Falls down, no foul call. John Christie with control. For Kylick on the break.
Three-point play. Now they can cut it to 50. They're not out of this. And now Ronnie Hutzel's going to come back into the ball game for the Westmen.
Freshman Lance Rozalowicz picks up his second personal. Lance has not seen as much court time tonight and has not been an offensive force the way he usually is. He's only got 2 points. During the season, Lance has been averaging close to 9 or 10.
We're into a different kind of a situation now, though. There's a miss by Kylick, and now they can cut it to 14. And they do. They're back into this. Now inside. got to be concerned. He can't let this thing get away.
Westman's lead down to 14. It stood at 20 just a couple of minutes ago. Jim Grissom, a 4-year veteran, is going to check back in the next stoppage. Opalko inside for Hutzel. Can't get the roll.
Super play by Wayne Harder. He was fouled, too, and there was no call. But a super play by Harder to make it 16 again.
Wayne Harder's first 2 points, but it was a big bucket. Kendall. Jimmy's hot.
We got a shootout now.
Kendall's hit his last 2. He's got 17 to lead the Bisons. He's tied for game high honors with the Gefe right now.
And now the clock starts to become a factor for Manitoba.
5.5 minutes left on the game clock. Westman will try to slow it down, use all 30 seconds on the shot clock. Brenner working against Bullock. Back outside for Opalko. He's got a mismatch against number 24, Jim Kendall. Got a foul underneath. It'll go against the Westman. Wayne
now
Harder.
We got free throws. They can cut it to 12 with 5:17. Jimmy Grissom checks back in for Kurt Brenner. This game is far from over, sport fans.
We were watching Hunter talk to Kendall, but something we missed over at the other side. Bruce ends up off the bench, yelling at the referees. Kenny Opalko comes over and he says, "Shut up, coach," and says, "Yeah, you're right. Not a time to pick up a tee. Bad time to pick up a tee."
Bruce is fiery, and so's Don Hunter. They both are. Bruce has tended to get a bad rap over the last couple of years. Now with this clock stop, they can cut it to 12 points, make it 66-54.
Johnny Taylor's 11th point. Now he's got 12. Bison's trailing by that 12-point margin. Full court pressure by Manitoba. Looking for the turnover. Grissom dribbling through pressure. 5 minutes left on the clock. Hutzel against Bullock. He's posting up down low again. To Gefe for Van Keisel. There's Hutzel down underneath. It's tipped back to Ronnie. Fouled by Kendall.
And Hutzel will get 2 shots. Bison bench is up, but I think that the officiating has gone back. It's reverted back to where it was at the start of the game. They're letting just about everything go now, and I was surprised there was even a call there. You always skip the roll if you hit that front rim. You don't get it if you hit the back rim, and if anything, Hutzel will be short with his free throws.
Ronnie hits 1. He's got 14. And I can't say it too often enough, but that's 10 points over his season average. I can't understand why they're keeping that matchup with him and Bullock, because they're just taking it inside at will.
It was an interesting call there on calling it a jump. The Bisons can cut it to 11 now.
.45 left on the clock. Bison's trailing by 13, 67-54. Taylor cut off on the drive by DeGefe. John fires up the jumper, and it's Opalko to the board. Taylor's calling for the foul. No whistle, though. Taylor hits the floor hard. Ball goes out of bounds, but the Westman will retain control.
Total aggressiveness by the Bisons. There's no question about the aggressive play that the Bisons are throwing out there right now at the Westman. They've made a decision. They've got to get that ball, and they'll do it hook or by crook. And they're challenging referee Bill Moore and Rod Pepler to make calls. What a super effort by Ken Opalko on the left-handed hook, and a great pass. And there's a bad turnover. There is a real tough turnover, because now it can go back to 17. And Bruce Enns is a little bit happier now as Dwayne Brothers is going to check back into the ballgame. They lead it by 15. There's 4:16 to go, and now the clock starts to play a bigger part.
An idea of how physical this game has been. Opalko just muscled inside. He knocked Kenny Kylik right to the floor. No call either way. Hutzel against Bullock. Grissom inside for Opalko. Slapped away by Kenny Kylik, but he's slapped with another foul.
And we got a technical foul called on Jim Kendall as well for kicking the basketball. So now the Westmen essentially have a 1 and a bonus plus a tee plus the ball. This essentially could turn out to be a 5-point play if Opalko can drain 3 free throws.
I think what's really frustrated a lot of these players is they've let all the banging and the physical stuff go uncalled, and then they're calling us the small stuff, the reaches, the things like that. And the Westmen are frustrated too.
the officials have let the game get away a little bit. I think the players would rather play this type of ball. The problem is it's been inconsistent. It's been one way and the other all night long. And I think the tough stuff got the Bisons back into the game. The Westmen finally adjusted. They've been playing a lot tougher, and they've gotten their lead back.
Opalco leads all scorers now with 19. Kenny hit 3 free throws in a row, an 86% shooter from the line. And that could just about put it away. 18-point lead for the Westmen. They can make it 20 here. Opalco, 5 points in a row.
Made a decision that he's going to play in a final against Brandon. And now time's got to be tough for Manitoba. They got to start throwing it up.
Kennel's got 19. Bison's trailing by 18. 6'8" Belay to Geffe on the dribble. Off to Opalco. He's red hot. 23 points for Kenny O.
It's got to be Kendall. He's got to throw it up.
Tommy King will check back in. Next stoppage. Bullock fires. Taylor to the boards. Tip for Kylick. Count the basket. And Kenny will get to go to the line.
Three-point play the other way. Ken Kylick does a fine job.
Kenny Opalco looking a little tired.
I still go with 3 players of the game. I still think that it's just been an incredible 3-player job by Opalco, DeGeffe, and Hutzel tonight. What a great pass.
There's DeGeffe, wide open. Belay's got 19 now. How many GPAC championships has Bruce Enns won?
Just one. Just one in 8 years as a head coach.
He'll have a chance at 2 after tonight.
I would think so. And it's only because of the clock. I still think that Manitoba has the firepower to come back, but I don't think they've got enough time to do it. It's been Kenny Opalco's night, essentially. He knows that he loses this one. Tomorrow night's a meaningless game for 3rd place, and that's the end of his career. Now the game tomorrow night means Ken Opalco, 5th-year veteran. As you watch Opalco make this shot a little bit off balance, moving away. What a super bucket by Opalco. And 2 free throws missed, and Winnipeg's got the ball back.
Kenny Opalco feels the heat. He wants the ball, but he turns it over to Kentel. Jimmy looking to fire it up, takes it inside, spins it off glass, too much on it. DeGeffe on the break. Belay slams it.
And that's putting it in your face. Belay DeGeffe with a slam makes it 22.
Tommy King is still ice cold. He's 0 for 14 from the field. Opalco wants the ball. He wants the victory. Manitoba's got a timeout.
The Westmen called timeout. They lead it 80 to 58. It has been one of those games. Here comes this slam dunk by Belay DeGeffe, and we just lost our stats lady. Just handed me a note. I am watching the game now and have lost track. Sorry, it is so amazing. What a slam by Belay DeGeffe.
Belay DeGeffe's impression of Daryl Dawkins.
No one believed this. There are people in the stands behind us in shock, and certainly that bench is in shock. 22-point lead right now for the Westmen.
I think it's time for Don Hunter to throw the bomb and go for 6. That's about the only chance.
You're going to need 3 quick ones. Where's Carl Sweetan? Remember Carl Sweetan's 99-yard touchdown pass for the Detroit Lions to beat the Giants in 1961 in a meaningless game for last place in the NFL. And there's Belay DeGeffe coming into the game. Wayne Harder's back in.
Sorry, in 61 I was only 4 and I didn't watch TV then.
It's been that type of an amazing game. It's almost trivial what Winnipeg has done.
Van Keisel over Brothers. Everybody's got the heat for the Westmen. Van Keisel's got 4 now. And it's a 24-point lead for the Winnipeg Westmen. Nobody would have dreamed that these 2 teams were differenced by 2 points in the 5 games they've played all season long. An average of 2 points, the margin of victory. Great
by Van Keisel.
the Westmen could make the lead 26 points this time down.
The shot's blocked, but Grisham's there to pull down a rebound.
King to the boards. Wayne Brothers on the break. Dish off to Bullock. Nice feed back to Brothers.
Good bucket. Real nice bucket. Here's Clyde Van Kuysel's bucket, just to show you what everybody's doing. Look at that. A great defensive play by Brothers, and Van Kuysel throws an 18-foot bomb. Nothing but net. What an incredible game for the Westmen. And it was Bruce Enns right from the start. He went into the right zone, did the right things underneath, put the right people down there. There you look at him, but he's done an incredible job. They came prepared. They were completely prepared for this basketball game, Scotty, and there's a very disappointed Roger St. Fort. But to get back to Bruce Enns, he had the team ready to play. They knew exactly what they were going to do before they even stepped on the floor. You've got to be impressed with this ball club, and tomorrow night's game with the Brandon Bobcats will be the game of the year.
A look of what you'd have to describe as disbelief on most of the Manitoba players. They maybe figured that, yes, the Westmen had the potential to beat us, but never this badly.
Not by 22, and not so completely the way that Winnipeg has dominated.
Palco to inbound. Full court pressure by the Bisons. They need a miracle now.
Opalco just clears everybody out and just dribbles it across midcourt.
Kenny O showcasing his talents. John Taylor reached over and picked up the foul.
And Opalco's going to the free throw line. What a night for Kenny Opalco.
John's fourth. Kenny O's got 23 to lead everybody. .22-point lead for the Westmen. 1:15 left on the clock. Opalco with 24. He could hit 25 right here. And does. 24-point lead for the Winnipeg Westmen. They'll play the Brandon Bobcats for the GPAC Basketball Championship. Both went, Scott, interesting because both went to the CIAU finals last year. Brandon is the conference representative. Winnipeg is the wild card.
This year, the only way Winnipeg's going to go is to be the winner, and that's win that game against Brandon. And Opalco's going to have 27 now. What a game for Ken Opalco.
You can see it in his eyes. He says, give me the ball. I'm hot. Give me the ball. It's been on a string for Kenny Opalco tonight. And a disappointing finish to the careers of three veteran Bisons, John Taylor, Dan Snidel, and Jim Kendall, all in their 5th years. One more game left, but it's meaningless. The consolation against the Lakehead Nor'Westers tomorrow night. 15 seconds left in the clock. Bullock goes to the hoop, doesn't get the roll. Kendall with the rebound, spins it up, fires up an air ball, and it's Opalco with the rebound. Kenny O is going to run out the clock. 3, 2, 1.
What a splendid effort. Absolutely a splendid effort by the University of Winnipeg Westmen. 86-60 domination of the Manitoba Bisons. And I've got 3 players in the game. I'm going with Opalco, DeGeppe, and Hutzel. Let's talk to all 3 of them after that contest.
You want all 3?
Let's talk to all 3 of them.
Well, we'll try to fit them in. The Westmen, an impressive 86-60 victory over the Manitoba Bisons. They'll go on to the GPAC finals against Brandon. We'll be back with the players of the game and winning coach Bruce Enns as CKND's Game of the Week continues right after this. Scott Fawcett back at the East Gym, where the Winnipeg Westmen have come up with an impressive 86-60 victory, flanked on my left by one of our players of the game, Ron Hutzel, on my right by my color commentator, Scott Taylor. Scott, some questions you wanted to ask Ron?
I think the biggest one is those things you did in the first half, that the way you pulled your big guys out and you went underneath and posted on Gary Bullock. Was that planned? Were you prepared to do that before the game started?
We've been working on it for about a couple weeks already, and we thought we might take advantage of the different size, right? we thought we'd run them down low, we'd work it inside. If it wasn't there, if they sagged inside, then I'd pitch it out, for an open shot. That happened once in the second half where I pitched out to Bly, he made an open shot. So
your biggest night of the year, 14 points, 6 for 7 from the field. None of them were what you call extremely long shots, except for the one that didn't count when there was a foul called away from the ball.
No, they were pretty easy shots because of the guys who were passing the ball. They gave them just perfectly inside. They didn't try to force it, but they just gave it to me right inside, just for an easy layup. So I think the big thing about tonight was that a coach said before the game, he said we should get something different in this game. We shouldn't have 1 or 2 guys playing good. We should have all 5 guys playing a good game. And so we did. We had 5 guys play really good game. We had guys come off the bench that played great. And so that's the most important thing about the years.
A really intense performance by the Westmen tonight. Is there going to be a letdown going into that final against Brandon now, do you think?
That's the thing you can worry about after games like this. You get so high, right? But I'm sure Coach Enns is going to stress to us, to get up for the game tomorrow. I'm sure he's going to talk to us tomorrow and tell us, to get ready and, don't let down because, tomorrow's all for the marbles now.
Ron, thanks very much. We'll let you hit the showers. We're bringing in one of our other choices for player of the game, Kenny Opalko. Ken, can you come on over? Ken, Scott and I were sitting there, and we both noticed this look in your eye that, sort of thing like, hey, I want the basketball, I want to do it. What were your feelings before the game?
Well, we knew if we took it inside on him, get him in foul trouble, that we would have a good chance of sticking it to him and winning. And we did just that. And not only that, but we talked before the game about getting the loose balls in the air, loose balls on the floor. And I think we did a pretty good job over there. Ron Hutzel and Jim Grissom just played fantastic.
27 points for Ken Opalko, 10 from 18 from the floor. Some questions from you, Scott?
What's it feel like to only be 2 points away from Mickey Fox's national record? Tomorrow night against the Bobcats, you could do it? Be the leading scorer in the history of college basketball in Canada.
That'd be nice, but I tell you something I'd like even more is that GPAC championship. And we're going to have to play great. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Brandon's a great team. If we don't play well, I mean, there's just no way. We have to play well. And if I get it, all the better.
What do you expect? What do you want to do against Brandon now? You were able to isolate Hutzel and Bullock, a mismatch there, one of your only mismatches on the floor, of course, all night long. And you also took it inside and you challenged Danny Snidely and you got him into foul trouble. Tomorrow night against Brandon, it's a different thing. It's back up against the big leapers and, of course, abs underneath. What are you going to try to do to them?
Well, the time that we beat Brandon in Winnipeg, we did exactly the same thing as we did to Manitoba. We went inside and challenged them. You can't fade away from these guys because they can jump. You got to get them up in the air, give them some fakes, and just put it up. And maybe get some foul shots.
Kenny, Scott and I both thought that this was perhaps the Westmen's best game they played this year, the most intense. You seemed to do everything well. You and Bly both hit the boards. You both contributed scoring. It seemed that you got not only some good individual performances, but contributions from everybody.
Yeah, we talked about that before the game, and we've had some trouble this year where a couple of guys will play great, and the other guys are so-so. But tonight, everyone played well, and it showed on the scoreboard. Everyone contributed. Clyde got, 10 rebounds? That's what we need. We need something from everyone.
Kenny Opalko, thanks very much. We'll see if we can locate Winnipeg Westman winning coach Bruce Enns. Bruce, can you come on over? Bruce, come on over. Your analysis now of what made the difference between this game and other games you played against Manitoba. What did you do differently?
Cheshire Cat, too. I like that smile.
I tell you, after you play a great game like that, you got a lot to feel good about. But I think the important thing tonight for us was that we didn't have 1 or 2 guys do it. I think you had trouble picking player of the game. That was
we got 3 of them.
Yeah, okay.
Bly was in the showers, or we would have had him out too.
I could give you another 6 because we intended tonight to play 9 people, and every single one of them made a real contribution. The only sad thing about it, looks like we got Gary with a broken ankle again, but...
talking about Gary Sherman, the freshman.
Yeah, right. But every one of our 9 kids came out and made a real contribution, and this is what's really critical for us. We have not done it all year, except for, I think, maybe 1 or 2 other games where everybody has played well, even like 5 people at a time. And tonight we had 5 at a time, and I don't want to take anything away from Lakehead because they've had a terrific season defensively. But this, I think, was the best defense that I've seen all year. And I'm a little biased, but I thought it was great defense.
Okay, Scott, you've got some questions for the coach?
Tonight you looked like Coach of the Year. You came in completely prepared. You were completely prepared. You knew exactly how you were going to beat them, and everything that you did went.
I tell you what, I think most of us are Coach of the Years in every game. All of us. I think Donnie was Coach of the Year. The thing is that tonight, the difference was the players really, really did a job. And I think that their players, they came out, they were prepared, but boy, I think there was something a little bit, our guys just seemed to have this a little bit more heart tonight. And they just wouldn't let up, and because of that, they just played superbly. They played intelligently. They were patient at the right times. They played just superb. The defense, as I say, I think was the key. Because offensively, we've been really struggling of late. And defense has got to be the only thing that keeps you in there consistently. And tonight, it was first rate.
Did you ever think you could beat Manitoba that badly? No one's beat them that badly all year.
Yeah, sure. I think anybody can beat anybody that badly. Well, no, I'll take that away. I think we can beat Brandon by 1. Okay. I don't know if we can beat Brandon by more than 1.
All right.
But I think if we beat him by 1, that'll probably be good enough.
The Diplomat comes out and Bruce ends. Bruce, congratulations. A very impressive 86-60 win and a trip to the finals now. Thanks for dropping by.
Thank you. Thank you.
Scott Taylor, I appreciate your presence and your help throughout the season. Just a quick word on Brandon and Winnipeg, very quickly.
If I was a betting man, I'd have to go with Brandon because they've been there all year. But they've got 6 freshmen, and that might have something to do with it because those vets, Opalko and DeGeffy and Hutzel and Grissom, just showed what they're made of tonight. It's going to be the ball game of the year. I'm absolutely convinced.
And Scott and I would lastly like to thank all the people behind the scenes, people in the truck, behind the cameras, who make our job so much easier. Now, I'm Scott Fawcett for Scott Taylor. Thanks for tuning in.
Manitoba can pull off another win here.